Good morning, girls, and welcome to my 5th annual Healthy Fall Bake with Me. I am so excited for today's video. I've been dreaming of this video for the last few weeks, to be honest with you, for the last few months. And then about 3 weeks ago, I nailed down the recipes. We got everything put together, photographed, and I have been so excited to share these recipes with you because I have shared before that I vividly remember 16, almost 17 years ago when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It was in June. Yes, it was in June. And so as I was adjusting to my new lifestyle, I vividly remember going to my very first Thanksgiving, and I was recently plant-based, gluten-free, dairy-free, seed oil-free, all of those things almost 17 years ago, which at that point people looked at me like I had 5 heads. Nobody understood the language that I was using and the reasons why I'd be giving up those foods. But I vividly remember being at a family member's house and walking into one of my favorite holidays of all time and looking at the table and thinking, everything has changed. Nothing will ever be the same again. I can't eat any of these foods. I can't participate in this holiday with my family. And I felt this immense sensation of sadness and shame. And so when I started my YouTube journey, I always wanted to educate and inspire you on your health and wellness journey. But more than anything, I never want you to feel alone or to have those same feelings that took over my body in that moment. And so that was kind of the antithesis of why I came up with the Healthy Fall Bake with Me and Healthy Holiday Bake with Me, is so that you could participate in these holiday traditions by bringing these beautiful nutrient-dense recipes to your family gatherings, whether you're going somewhere or you are hosting. And it's something that not only you, who's somebody who's health conscious, but every single person will enjoy these recipes. And so I am so excited, and thank you for being here, whether this is your first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. I would love to know how many of these Bake With Me's you've watched over the years. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being such a beautiful part of this community, because I think it's so important that as we move into the holiday season, we feel that community. And I want you girls to know that you are never alone, whether you have a recent diagnosis, something like Hashimoto's that can feel really overwhelming, or you're dealing with a long-term diagnosis. Please know that there are ways to live and to thrive regardless of the season. There are ways that we can truly support your body and you still can enjoy the beautiful seasonal flavors. And that's exactly what we're gonna do here today. Okay, so I've already shared the list of recipes over on Living Well because I am terrible at keeping secrets, because transparency, I think, is just something that I was born with. And so once I know information, of course, positive and exciting information, I love to share it, especially with the girls over on Living Well. So all of the recipes that you're seeing today have already been published at 8 o'clock this morning on my membership site, Living Well, where you can find thousands and thousands and thousands of delicious, nutrient-dense, hormone-healing recipes on Living Well. So if you are a Living Well member, these recipes are now live and they have been published. Otherwise, I always put together a complimentary, beautiful PDF that will have all of the recipes that I feature in today's video. That way you can have it with you, you can save it on your phone, you can print it, you can have it in your kitchen. I would love all of those things. I would be so flattered and so honored. But I'm somebody who loves aesthetics, and I love to put together something that's beautiful that I know you are more likely to reach for. But this is the list of recipes that we're going to be putting together. I've learned my lesson. I used to do all 4 or 5 recipes in one day. I split it between 2 days now. I honestly just don't like to bake up until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So we're probably going to do 2 today and 2 tomorrow, and it will all be included in today's video. So I think we're going to get started with our warm apple cider muffins. These ones are a huge hit in my house. I made a double batch and they didn't even last for 36 hours. That's how quickly they went. Then we have maple chai cupcakes with a maple yogurt glaze. These ones are a huge fan favorite. Then we have a harvest carrot apple cake with a cream cheese drizzle. And last but not least, because last year I did the beautiful pumpkin parmesan rosemary biscuits. Last year I did a savory recipe. It was such a popular recipe that I thought, you know what, we need to bring it back. So we are going to be putting together a cheddar, rosemary, sun-dried tomato scones, and they are delicious. If you've been making any of the Living Well soups, like the best cabbage soup, that recipe has been really popular on Living Well. A bunch of our soups, because it is the season, have become very popular on Living Well. These scones will be beautiful to accompany them. Also, I've been enjoying them at breakfast with a few fried eggs and some breakfast sausages as a beautiful way to get in a beautiful, healthy, nutrient-dense carb in the morning for breakfast. So I am so excited for today's video, and I hope that you girls are as well. We have our second pumpkin protein coffee of the day. So when I finish this, I'll have 70 grams of protein, lots of energy, I have an electrolyte ready to go. And I cannot wait to spend a very cozy, beautiful day with you girls baking in the kitchen. Okay, so we are all set for our warm cinnamon apple cider muffins. We have all of the ingredients here. And behind me, I have half a cup of cold pressed apple cider, as well as our coconut oil that I'm going to simmer on low just to reduce and bring out the flavor. If you've been following me for any period of time, you know I'm the biggest fan of just kind of putting all of our dry ingredients into my little IKEA, I call it my science beaker. But I have 1.5 cups of brown rice flour, half a cup of almond flour. I have baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, and Portuguese salt that we got from Portugal. Then I have half a cup of coconut sugar. I love using coconut sugar as our sweetener, but especially in the fall months. It gives like that brown sugar, delicious feeling, almost like a caramel flavor to your baked goods, so I love using that. And then I have 2 eggs over here. So I'm just going to whisk together all of our dry ingredients in our bowl as I reduce down that apple cider, have it turn on really low, and our coconut oil here behind me. So as you can see, the coconut oil is definitely melting. It's a 1/4 cup of coconut oil, half a cup of apple cider. I'm just gonna reduce this down and bring it together just to bring out all of those beautiful flavors for probably like 6 to 7 minutes, set it to the side, let it cool, and then I'll put all of that together with our vanilla extract and our eggs. So this one comes together beautifully. It's super simple, and then we'll make our icing to go on the top, which is definitely optional, but something I am going to be including because I love the way that it brings the flavors together. So as the apple cider and coconut oil come together, it's the perfect time to whisk together all of your dry ingredients. Okay, so I have our muffins out behind me cooling down, which is perfect because we're going to assemble our cake. And by the time that goes into the oven, I can then put together our glaze for these beautiful muffins. So over here, we have 1 cup of shredded apple. As you can see down here at the bottom of the bowl, I have pushed out the excess liquid just to make sure that the cake doesn't get too dense or doughy. I then have 1 cup of shredded carrot. If you're somebody who doesn't like the texture, or let's say you have young children who won't eat this cake because of the texture, what you can do, and I've shown this many years before, you could quite simply put the carrots and the apple into a blender with your eggs and your melted coconut oil. So with your wet ingredients, you could just blend it together your carrot and your apple and then just blend it all together. Therefore, they won't be able to see the apples, the carrots in it, and it also will have that smoother texture. I'm also going to be adding in some crushed pecans, so you could omit this or swap it for mini cacao nibs or chocolate chips if this is a cake that you think maybe you want to give to the kids and they're not a huge fan of having pecans in the recipe. But I love the texture that the grated apple and carrot brings to this cake. So I have 1 cup of each of these with the excess liquid pushed out. Then we have half a cup of coconut sugar, again, my sweetener of choice, 2 eggs over here that we're going to whisk together at the end with our coconut oil and our vanilla extract. We have the pecans. I have some of them mashed up, but I'm going to mash them up pretty finely. That way they're evenly distributed throughout the cake. And then for our dry ingredients, I have 1 cup of oat flour. You could also use brown rice flour, but I have 1 cup of oat flour, 1 cup of almond flour. If you can't use almond flour, if there's a nut sensitivity, or you want to send it to school with the kids in their classrooms, you could always just do 2 cups of oat flour. That would work perfectly. Then I have cinnamon and nutmeg, salt, sea salt, Portugal salt. Then we have baking soda and baking powder. So let's go ahead and whisk together all of our dry ingredients, melt down our coconut oil, whisk that together with our 2 eggs and our vanilla extract. And then while that is baking, we will ice our muffins and also assemble the cream cheese glaze and icing that goes on this cake. Okay, girls, so I ended up throwing in a few chocolate chips alongside our pecans because I figured, you know what? It is our fall bake with me. Why not? I just have my medium-sized stalk here. I line it with parchment paper, and this already smells so delicious. I can't wait to get it into the oven. Girls, this is going to be the easiest glaze you've ever put together. We have 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and to that I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon of coconut sugar, the star of today's Bake With Me. 1 teaspoon of coconut sugar, and 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon. And that is all it takes. I'm going to mix that together and drizzle it over top of these beautiful looking muffins. So I'm going to use a spoon to do it because it keeps sinking to the bottom. I was going to just pour it, but my cinnamon sugar keeps sinking to the bottom of my butter. So we're just going to use a spoon and gently drizzle over top of your muffin. And voila, our beautiful muffins are done. I'm just going to set these behind me to cool and just let that butter kind of soak and set in, and then we'll package everything up. Okay girls, our cake has fully cooled and the texture is beautiful. Oh my goodness, the smell. Girls, the smell on this one, I want you girls to save this one to make for a brunch that you're gonna have with your girlfriends, or if you're going to do like a book club night with your girlfriends, maybe reading the Cinnabon Cafe and you need to bring a dish to pass. This is the one, okay? Honest to goodness, it smells so amazing. So in this little bowl, I have 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, grass-fed cream cheese. I have grass-fed whole milk, 2 tablespoons. And at the bottom there, you can see 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. I'm gonna whip this together and then we're gonna put it on top of the cake. Good morning, girls, and welcome to day 2 of my Healthy Fall Bake with me. Today is exciting because we are starting off with a savory recipe that I know you girls are going to love. But really quickly, because last night I was watching the footage back and I was like, why does my cake look so different? The harvest carrot to apple cake. I was like, why does my cake look so different from the first time I made it? And I realized because when I made the recipe the first time, I did the cream cheese drizzle. I didn't slather the entire top of the cake with the cream cheese frosting. And so as I was making it yesterday, I don't know what happened. I'm not sure why I decided to just put the frosting all over the entire cake, but that's what I ended up doing. But in the recipe, it's more of a drizzle. So I had taken it in a piping bag when I made the recipe for the first time and I had drizzled it over the top. But I'm going to let you know, the cake, there's probably half of the cake left because the kids got home. Sawyer had a play date yesterday after school. Everybody was loving the cake. So whether you decide to do it with a drizzle or just completely frost the entire thing, it is up to you. Either way, it works beautifully. But honestly, it was me more so thinking back like, why does this cake feel like something I've never made before? And that's because when I was recipe testing and finalizing the final recipe, that isn't the way that I did it. But I must have felt very inspired by that delicious frosting and decided to put it over the entire cake. I am on my first, I'm still on my first protein coffee. I only was about halfway done. I just put a little bit more warm of the lion's mane coffee on top just to give it a little heater because I haven't had much of a chance to drink my coffee. I've been running around this morning, getting everybody off to school, cleaning the house. There's a little bit of action happening in the basement today. There's some trades downstairs doing something with our water filtration system. So it's been a busy morning. So I'm now halfway through my first cup of my protein coffee. I did have a beautiful, nourishing breakfast this morning. I had made some shredded chicken the other night in the crock pot. So I had that this morning over a bed of greens with a little bit of avocado on the side and some cilantro on top. It was delicious. So I'm feeling really good and super excited for our day 2 of our fall bake with me. I know you girls are going to love these scones, these savory scones. My business partner never, ever, ever asks anything out of me when it comes to creating recipes for Living Well. So she, in the 3 years since she joined Living Well, has never once asked me to create a certain type of recipe. When I was planning the fall bake with me and we go over it as a team, she said to me, can you please recreate a healthy version of one of my favorite scones that has ever been made? And I said, girl, I've got you. So for the first recipe, we are going to be making cheddar rosemary, sun-dried tomato scones. These ones are so delicious. As I was saying yesterday, I did add a little bit of sage because I had a tiny little bit of sage in the fridge that I was like, if I don't use this and the next day or two, it's going to go bad. But it is 2 tablespoons of rosemary that I have chopped here and probably half of a teaspoon of sage in here. So really not that much, but it smells so delicious. This is the recipe that I know you're going to love to serve as a side with all of your beautiful Living Well soups that we have, with so many of your Crocktober recipes from Living Well. I know you girls are going to love these scones, and honestly, they are just such a beautiful, nutrient dense. The texture is amazing and incredible. So I have 1.5 cups of oat flour. You can also use gluten-free bread flour. I did try that the first time I was recipe testing. I did the organic King Arthur gluten-free bread flour, and then I have 1.5 cups of almond flour. But I've made them twice just to make sure that I get down the perfect texture. And overall, I just love the taste of the oat flour because it brings in like a little bit of like nutty sweetness to the recipe. Obviously, your almond flour does that as well, but I really love baking with oat flour. But you could either use the oat flour or gluten-free bread flour in this recipe. So I have 1.5 cups of oat flour, 1.5 cups of almond flour. We're going to be adding in 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Then we have our rosemary. We're going to bring in some shredded sharp cheddar, sun-dried tomatoes, some salt, black pepper, and that is truly as easy as it gets. It is such a simple, beautiful recipe that delivers so much flavor and such an incredible texture. I just posted a story about these savory scones and the DMs are coming in about my outfit. I will have it linked for you girls in the description box down below. Rarely do I have clothes on that I've just recently purchased. This arrived 2 days ago from Gap, and it is the coziest sweater. It's like a sweater material. It is so comfortable, and this is my go-to. I have shown this, I mean, dozens and dozens of times over the years. This Uniqlo t-shirt is the best quality ever. Crisp white. My mom is in New York right now. I texted her last night and I was like, hey, can you pick me up a couple more of the white t-shirts from Uniqlo? I love them, and my mom is in New York like once every 4 weeks to be with my brother and my sister-in-law and my niece, and so she'll always just frequently pick me up new crisp white t-shirts. And so I texted her last night, but I will have this one linked for you in the description box down below as well. But this set is so comfy, and I'm seeing the DMs come through, so I will have a shop my post for you. Now let's get to making these beautiful savory scones. The oven has just preheated to 375. So I need to pull out some black pepper. So we are going to be using some coarse salt. This is my Portuguese salt, the salt that I got in Portugal. I shared with you girls how I literally purchased 19 of them. 3 for myself, and I've gifted the other 16 to my family and all of my best girlfriends. And OMG, I knew that I needed to purchase as many of them as I could to bring back to all of my girlfriends because this salt is amazing. So we're gonna be using Portuguese salt, black pepper. Then I have 1/2 cup of shredded cheese. I did shred this last night in my little mini Cuisinart food processor. I shredded 2 different types of cheddar, sharp cheddar and regular cheddar. I just shredded it really quickly in my mini food processor last night to have this ready to go. Then I have 1/3 of a cup of cold grass-fed butter that we're going to be putting and mixing together with our fingers. And I showed you girls that we also have our rosemary and just a tiny little dash of sage because I didn't want it to go bad. Then I have 1/4 cup of our sun-dried tomatoes that I have finely diced up. I did drain off the liquid, and we already went over our flour. So I'm gonna get to mixing our dry ingredients together first, and then we're gonna knead in that butter and then slowly fold in our sun-dried tomatoes and our herbs and form our scones and get those into the oven. Girls, I am going to brush the top of the scones with probably 1 tablespoon of heavy cream and I just poured that into the dish where I had the sun-dried tomatoes. So it has like a little tiny bit of the excess sun-dried tomatoes that were just sitting in here. I had drained the juice, but it does leave like a little bit. And so I'm going to brush the top of the scones with that and then add a little bit of black pepper on top. We took a short intermission, one for me to eat lunch, and secondly, I think I mentioned they are doing work downstairs on our water. Our water has been shut off all day. So during these videos, what you don't see is the behind the scenes, quite literally behind you, is the amount of prep bowls and knives and whisks and measuring spoons and cups, all of the things which I typically wash, load into the dishwasher or hand wash and use for the next setup. I don't have water. So I took a little break. I was hoping they would be done. They are not done. But we are going to move on because I want to do one more recipe and a spritzer with you girls just to end the video on the perfect chef's kiss note. So we are going to make our maple chai cupcakes with a maple yogurt glaze. These ones are so yummy and so delicious. Essentially, while they are, yes, cupcakes, you can most definitely have these for breakfast. This is something that you can give your kids for breakfast before school. I would recommend potentially doing it with a few Amy Lou chicken sausages to get that protein into them first, but this has a ton of fiber, healthy carbs, and something that you can definitely give to the kids because this one is a fan favorite. Okay girls, I just added my vanilla extract and a third of a cup of melted coconut oil that I'm gonna mix in. And so I wanted to say that when I've tested this recipe before, I've done it with applesauce, so half a cup of applesauce or half a cup of pumpkin puree. Likewise, you could also do butternut squash. So because I didn't do the pumpkin or butternut squash, I probably won't be giving this to the kids for breakfast, which means I think I'm going to add like a quarter cup of chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips to this. Now, if I would have added the pumpkin puree or the butternut squash, I probably would have kept this one more of like a breakfast option. But because we went applesauce and I'm not giving them that little bit of extra vitamins, I mean, there is definitely vitamins, minerals, fiber in your applesauce, but more so when you use butternut squash or pumpkin puree or sweet potato puree. So those are kind of the options and the way that I think about baking when I'm putting together different recipes for the kids. So because of that, we're gonna make this a little bit decadent and we're gonna add in some chocolate chips. Okay, I know that looked like no rhyme or reason, but I always fill up my favorite apples first. Like you can see, this one has a little stem. I love the ones that have little stems and that are a little bit deeper than these really small ones. So I know it looked like I was erratically using the leftovers into this apple pan, which, by the way, you have heard me, if you've been with me for a while, about these Nordic pans, these Nordic ware pans. The reason I can use this one is because there's so much coconut oil in this recipe, so it will pop out easily. Now, the pine cones, I didn't even mess with it this year, girls. In years past, we've talked about it. Honestly, it's up there. It was probably the worst $45 I've ever spent. It works 1 out of every 6 times I use that pan. This one, on the other hand, comes out like a dream. They pop right out, especially when you're baking with coconut oil. So we're gonna go ahead and get these into the oven. And girls, if you are a chai tea girly, this is going to be your favorite recipe of this entire video, because it honestly, as I'm putting everything into the pan, all I can smell is like a beautiful warm chai tea. Okay, so everybody's home from school. We have working water, so I've just reset the kitchen, which feels so good and so nice. The muffins during this time have officially cooled, so now we're going to put together our beautiful whipped maple glaze. Okay, so I have half a cup of thick Greek yogurt, completely unsweetened. We have some cinnamon, and then I'm going to be adding in vanilla extract and pure maple syrup. I'm going to mix it all together. I'm going to put it on a few of our muffins, but because I've been doing this bake with me for the last 2 days, as you can imagine, my refrigerator is packed, so I'm going to be stacking them. So I think I'm just going to frost our first 3 or 4 that we'll be having this afternoon. The other ones I might leave unfrosted. That way I can stack them up, and then I can just store this in an airtight container on the side and then add on the frosting or the glaze when it's time to eat. Okay, girls, so I just popped the glaze into the beast because I whipped it together really well. Then I can just easily throw on the lid to the beast, pop it in the fridge, and blend it up as I need. But as you can see, it's given us this stunning, beautiful glaze. And there we go. I love it when it's a little bit rustic. It's still, they have cooled, but because it's a yogurt glaze, it's like running off the side. So as they sit and rest, it will kind of form into that really organic glazed shape, which I'm a big fan of. So this one, girls, if you are a chai tea girly, then I know you are going to absolutely love this cupcake. All right, girls, we are ending the night strong with an apple cider, fig, and thyme spritzer. This one is so simple and so easy to pull together. To our spritzer, I have already added 10 drops of silica, 5 drops of electrolytes into here, and 5 drops of potassium. So that's what we have in here so far, with 1 ounce of our cold pressed apple cider from yesterday. So we have that in here. And then I have 3 figs sliced. I'm gonna add those in there with some of our thyme, muddle all of that together, and then add in some sparkling water. And this is such a delicious and refreshing way to enjoy the season. Girls, this is so refreshing, so beautiful, so nutrient dense, and the perfect way to end the 2025 Healthy Fall Bake with me. I absolutely loved hanging out with you girls for the last 2 days. I hope that you got a ton of inspiration from today's recipes and that you feel excited to bring all of these nutrient dense, cozy, and incredible flavors into your home. As always, I will have the recipe PDF for you, our complimentary ebook, in the description box down below, as well as that first pinned comment where you can download it, save it on your phone, save it on your iPad, and have it to go. I would love to hear from you in the comment section now down below which recipe you're most excited to try, and then be sure to tag me over on Instagram in your recreations, because I love seeing you bring these recipes into your home, especially when you have the opportunity to share them with family and friends. And if you liked today's video, you can let me know by giving it a big thumbs up. And now the subscribe button is right over here on the screen. Give that a click, that way you don't miss a single video, and I hope to see you back here next Thursday.